I think that animate dead that he has there is actually
the Sun Titan.
The Sun Titan.
The
Sun
animate dead
Titan
from the-
animate dead. Actual Sun Titan. Hey, you. Yeah, you. I see you out there. Subscribe or get off my lawn. Welcome to the Old Cranky Man Collectibles YouTube channel. My name's Blake, and I'm here with Stefan.
You are with me, and I'm with you.
And that's me at the bottom of your screen, playing Money Pile.
You're not there. You were, but not any longer.
My points are Demonic Tutor,
Mm-hmm.
Survival of the Fittest,
That's 2.
Natural Order,
That's 3.
and Birthing Pod.
That's 1, and debatably 1.
Jeremiah's points are Demonic Tutor,
Mm-hmm.
Vampiric Tutor,
That's 2.
Spell Seeker,
That's 3, going to 9.
and I can't remember what the other point is.
A mystery point. Ladies and gentlemen, we may never figure it out, but if we do, we'll let you know. So you're sort of running back a brew that you've I don't know if fallen in love with is the right terminology, but you do love this deck.
Absolutely, 100%. Jeremiah's last point is crop rotation, by the way.
Crop rotation makes sense. Very good one-pointed card. Yeah, Jeremiah is sort of a mad scientist of brewery as well. Brewology of building decks.
So if you were to walk up to Jeremiah, my very good friend, Jeremiah, and say, Jeremiah, please describe to me what this 4-color currency deck is, he would say this. Well, I don't really like playing Canadian Highlander, and this deck makes me feel like I'm playing Commander.
He's not wrong.
So
yeah, it's yeah, that's correct.
it is a very like spell-based, mid-rangey. It's got some real big haymakers in there, but it does also have like tons of interaction.
And as you can see on screen, it is called currency because it has currency converter.
Yes, he loves the card currency converter, apparently. I don't know why.
He's on currency, you're on money. The battle of the monetary units.
I don't know why. Me starting off things with an overgrown tomb. We both are on a mulligan to 6 cards here.
Good.
I, of course, am on the play. Good. No.
Good.
I don't think I kept. I do not think I was able to keep a single 7-card hand all day.
That's unfortunate. But
anyways, you will see that I don't do anything for several turns. And
for 2 turns?
Several
3 turns?
Several turns.
Should have put that money to good use, playing lower mana cost cards.
I have many of them.
You just didn't draw any of them. It's almost
Absolutely
like there's high
not.
variance in this format.
I do have a pretty interactive hand. I have a Skyclave Apparition, a Solitude, Renegade Rallier.
So yeah, you have answers.
So yes,
You're playing the control game.
It's just not real quick.
Top coming out from Jeremiah there.
Another one of his favorite cards.
This is a commander deck very much. Like the top for no real reason, just getting extra value, like setting up his draws.
Yeah, he shuffles his library a lot. Top is one of those cards where if you shuffle your library a lot, you can really get a lot of additional value out of just paying 1 mana and looking at the top 3 cards every time you do that.
I think can we say it's underplayed?
Sensei's Divining Top?
Yeah, I think it's definitely underplayed.
It is not a card that I want a lot of people to play with because a lot of people are really bad at looking at the top 3 and knowing what to put back, and so it makes games take forever. So no, I don't want everybody to play top.
But
is it criminally underplayed? Probably.
Yes. Yeah, that's sort of what I was getting at. Like, I think a lot of decks could benefit from it if you.
I am using the ramp mode of Renegade Rallier here,
where you crack a fetch, play Rallier, get a fetch.
Exactly.
It's a reasonable play. I've done that before. My favorite is turn 4, where you play a Wasteland, waste down your opponent, Rallier back.
That's yucky.
Yeah, it's not.
So
it's not a
the
particularly
Renegade
fun
Rallier
play.
is mostly in here to facilitate an enigmatic incarnation line,
Mm-hmm.
where like say I have a Traxa with an animate dead on it,
Ah,
an incarnation, I can sack animate dead to incarnation, go get Rallier, and then bring back a Traxa and animate dead.
and get the trigger for the
Yeah,
ETB.
it's basically just an ephemerate.
Your deck is basically built around Atraxa. You love that card.
Yes, she is a hell of a drug.
You draw a lot of cards with her. Are you going to start running battles?
I have several of them in my deck already. I don't know if you see any of them in this game, but I resolved Battle for New Phyrexia.
Interesting.
Ooh, it's so good.
Did you flip it?
No, I didn't even care. I made 6 soldier tokens with it.
That's honestly just very good on its own.
It was 12 power for 8 mana.
Yeah. Invasion of Ikoria is the one that I'm sort of going back and forth on.
That's the finale of Devastation, right?
That can't hit humans. Which is, and it also doesn't do the pump mode, which Finale is very good at.
Right, but up front it is just a finale of Devastation, correct?
So it lets you get a creature with mana value X or less, but it can't be a human and it doesn't do the pump. So
okay. Anyways, hold on. We got to go back to the game because this is where things really start to unravel for me.
yeah.
I make a series of poor. It's a combination of poor sequencing and me kind of giving up card advantage for no actual reason.
Mm-hmm.
I am searching my library with Marsh Flats right now, but I just played a Birthing Pod.
Paying retail the full 4.
I did pay 4 mana for the Birthing Pod.
Okay. And the plan is to activate it this turn.
Yes.
Any turn where you're not playing and then activating.
So
pods,
I am
so it
paying
goes
2
back.
life to activate the Birthing Pod.
So you're gonna get a 4.
And
mana.
I'll just get ahead of myself. What I do here is I go get Seasoned Dungeoneer. And I put Seasoned Dungeoneer into play, and then I take the initiative and I go get a land out of my deck.
Sure.
Jeremiah says, sure, fine to all of this. So then afterwards, obviously, Seasoned Dungeoneer cannot block that Ledger Shredder, so why would I want to introduce the initiative mechanic right now, knowing that he can just take it from me next turn? Because I have Solitude in the Skyclave Apparition in my hand.
Yeah.
So after I resolve this and take the initiative, I play the Solitude to exile his Ledger Shredder, which gives him
a connive trigger.
A connive trigger. So poor sequencing, 1. I should have evoked the Solitude first.
Yeah.
Not only does evoking it first not give him the connive trigger, but it also lets me play around a Force of Will or a Daze.
Mm-hmm.
So what I could have done instead, also it's just giving up a ton of card advantage. In a game like this, where we are both just kind of playing these like really mid-rangey, grindy decks, like giving up those small edges and those little bits of card advantage matters so much over the course of a game. That's going to take many, many, many turns.
Especially because you could have just cast it on a later turn, right? Like you have the mana for it.
Right. So what I eventually decided was like the better line here would probably have just been to not evoke the Solitude at all. Just keep those. I have very few removal spells in my deck. The Solitude and the Skyclave Apparition are 2 of the very few removal spells in my deck.
Sure.
So just keep those 2 cards in my hand, and pod Seasoned Dungeoneer into Palace Jailer.
Renegade Rallier into Palace Jailer.
Pod Renegade Rallier into Palace Jailer.
Take the initiative, exile his creature until they take the initiative.
Yeah, take the Monarch.
Monarch, yeah, that's what I meant.
And then exile his creature. Not only does that like still let me get card advantage, but I'm not giving up any additional card advantage just to prevent him from taking the initiative.
It also lets you hold up the Solitude.
Right, I would still have the Solitude that I can flash.
Whereas this, you're going shields down, like fully shields down, and you 2-for-1 to yourself on the back end.
Yeah, it was not a good line.
It is what it is. We've talked about this before. It's easy to say you should have or shouldn't have done something when you're watching it back and or from 1,000-yard view. But
Right.
like,
Well, I mean, that's kind of the benefit of what we have, right?
oh
Like
yeah,
with this, we get to go back and rewatch these
yeah,
and see those little edges, and like hopefully that improves our ability to play this game.
mm-hmm. I hope it helps a lot of people who watch these. They kind of get to see the good plays as well as the blunders to avoid the pitfalls. Because if you're playing with the initiative and the monarch, like what are the risks? And there, you got rid of your creature, and so now your advantage is going to be less aggressive, and you're not going to get the card advantage every turn that the monarch would have established for you.
Yep. Kind of a blessing in disguise, though, because had I had that creature, I would have most certainly went to put 2 counters on it with the Forge and not scryed 2. The benefit of scrying 2 there is that I actually had 2 lands on top of my deck, which is not what I want to be drawing right now.
Yeah, you're on 5 lands right now.
So I was able to put those 2 lands onto the bottom.
Yeah, totally reasonable.
And I did have the 6th land in my hand that I got from the initiative token originally.
Yeah. Although if you like, it's all the what ifs, right? Because if you hadn't gotten it, you wouldn't have shuffled. It would have been a different card on top, and you would have drawn an additional card right away.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, but it's impossible to say, right? Like the random deck, it was both a land and not a land until you drew it.
Right, absolutely. Here's an unmarked grave.
Good card, excellent card. I get a lot of utility cards with this. I've gotten a lot of loams and dark blasts.
Yeah, in your dredge and your lands deck, it can just be a copy of Life from the Loam.
It's a very bad version of Entomb, but it's still a very good card.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad version of Entomb at all. So the only legendary creature in my deck that I'm looking to reanimate it is Atraxa. So most of my reanimation targets are like the initiative creatures, as you see a Sun Titan there. I also have like a Titan of Industry. So I'm kind of built around being able to reanimate these non-legendary creatures.
Yeah, it's still, I say a worse version in mana cost and in speed. Entomb is 1 mana instant versus this is a 2 mana sorcery.
Entomb is most certainly busted.
Yeah, it's
here's a Necromancy, which is going to get met with a Force of Will.
I think. And is he hard casting that, or did he exile?
No, he exiled a Nimble Obstructionist.
That's reasonable. What were you getting with that? What did you the Sun Titan?
Yeah, I was going to reanimate the Sun Titan, which would have brought back Renegade Rallier, which would have brought back a land.
It is funny that Jeremiah is like, this is a commander deck. Proceeds to cast Force of Will. Like, what of like counter magic in Commander? Not
I have
great.
many Force of Wills and various counter spells in many Commander decks.
You're a monster, aren't you?
It's not any different than playing a removal spell, which you should be playing in your Commander decks.
I don't know. That sounds like not fun.
Here's a Demonic Tutor.
Ignoring my nonsense.
It is complete nonsense.
Yeah. DT, great card. What's he getting here? Probably some hasty threat if he can.
I do not know what he gets off of it because he is not required to reveal it to me.
He is not required to reveal it. Although when we were playing against each other, he immediately showed me the card and cast it. Because that's very that's a very Jeremiah thing to do. Is like, oh, I'm demonic tutoring. Here's the card. I'm casting it now. Do you ever think DT will come down? It's set at 4, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's a reasonable way that you can put Demonic Tutor at 3.
Yeah, I think the only way to do that
the combination of being able to have Demonic Tutor plus any of the 7-pointed cards is very problematic.
That's sort of what I was getting at, is the only way that it goes to 3 is if you take some of those problematic cards to 8. Which I kind of hope doesn't happen. Like, I like 7 being the top.
I think, yes. I could see Ancestral Recall being an 8-point card and being the only 8-point card. I could see that. But I don't know that it will ever be.
It, it feels like there's no real the delta between 7 and 8 in the decks that run recall is so nominal anyway. Like,
Not wrong. A lot of the ancestral recall decks, they tend to throw away that last point.
Mhm.
Not that, playing a true name nemesis is bad by any stretch of the imagination, but the true name nemesis probably could have just been any other card.
It could, exactly. And like, if you don't have access to that, a lot of the recall decks are recall plus 3 points, 3 any points, and you're in blue, so you have access to all of the good 1 point cards.
Hey, I just want to let you know that I
no.
remember what he demonic tutored for,
Oh no,
and it was an animate dead for
Get
my
back
Sun
your
Titan.
Sun Titan. Oh no. And he's gonna get back his ledger. No, he exiled the ledger sugar. So
In spite of the fact that I am at 19 life points here, this game is basically over.
Yeah, that's a lot of value.
It's really unfortunate that I just gave up so much card advantage to try to, I don't know.
Yeah, having that solitude here would be very good.
It's almost like I was in a hurry to get the game over with when there was there was no reason to hurry to get the game over with.
You get yourself in hurries with these games.
And
I think you have this worry about like meeting some deadline that doesn't exist.
Perhaps, yeah.
Because if you had if you saw that Skyclave apparition, you could Skyclave the animate dead and still have the Sun Titan in your yard. And then the animate dead is gone forever. And maybe he gets a 2/2 out of it. It doesn't matter.
Maybe I think that animate dead that he has there is actually
the Sun Titan.
The Sun Titan.
It is. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
So like funny.
Thematically, the most appropriate thing I've ever seen in my life.
Wow! I did not realize the flavor when.
Yeah, that's
the Sun Titan animate dead on an actual Sun Titan. What are the odds?
That's the premium deck, reanimator deck.
Graveborn.
Graveborn, yeah. I do like that. I like the style of those cards a lot. A lot of them turn into Pringles real fast, but if you can get some that aren't, like, go for it. Get the Dread Return. Get your animate dead. Those cards are sick looking.
I have the Cabal Therapy.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I don't actually like it as well as the Onslaught Cabal Therapy art. I love that guy.
I'm not a big fan of that one.
I love that guy. He looks like a grub worm with arms and legs.
I'm not a big fan. Like I get it. I'll allow it. It's totally fine. So Jeremiah on his own path through the dungeon now. 2 wizards casting spells at each other, running through a dungeon.
I don't know that I actually cast another spell before this gets over. I could be wrong.
That's usually a hallmark of things going okay for a person is casting additional spells. Once you stop doing that, it's sort of like stopping breathing. Like the game's over a bit. Resolving spells very important.
You have a strict do not concede until lethal is presented policy here, just for continuity's sake. However, this Teferi Time Raveler has really got me interested in not playing this game anymore.
Oh, no. If you draw a creature, you have a birthing pod.
I drew a Flooded Strand, just so you know.
No. And you were done. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Like
no single spell in my deck was going to be able to get me out of that.
If you had drawn a 3-drop, you could have potted it into a Palace Jailer. Or if you had drawn the Palace Jailer, you could have jailered and then potted that Jailer away into a 5-drop. But that's, again, you have to draw the card.
Jeremiah also had, I think, 3 or 4 cards in his hand at that point in time.
This is game 2.
Yep, this is game 2. I'm on a mulligan to 5. I believe Jeremiah kept his 7.
And you're playing a basic mountain?
Mountain is my start here.
On a greedy 5-color deck, that's well, you're missing some colors.
Well, it's not as greedy as you would think it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. You have
So
other ways of producing
basically,
mana.
a lot of the basic lands in there could just be making colorless mana and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
I have very few cards that are double pipped.
Ooh.
I did follow that up with a Yavimaya.
So now you got a bunch of stomping grounds.
Yeah, but as I was saying, most of my cards are just single pipped, and I have very few multicolored cards.
Yeah.
So starting with a basic land is not problematic at all. A City of Brass here.
Yeah. Now your colors are all set. I noticed you haven't cast anything yet though.
No, a mulligan to 5, pretty rough.
Yeah. Especially on the play, because you're not getting that first turn draw. You're just hoping your deck kind of feeds you some good stuff.
Yeah, I was really hoping my deck was going to feed me some good stuff. The good news is Jeremiah's deck's not particularly fast or aggressive, so even on a mulligan to 5, I feel like I have a little bit of time to set up my draws, to sculpt my mana, etc. It's not like playing against mono red where a mulligan to 5 into a hand that does nothing until turn 3 is probably just means game over. Here's an Oko Thief of Crowns.
Oh no. He's not doing anything aggressive. Oko Thief of Crowns. Oh no. I really don't like this card at all. It's such a bad, they really messed up the design. They got the power level all wrong on this. You and I were talking about this card the other night, and how I kind of wish it never existed. And your reply was like, what if we rebalanced it? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And I presented you the rebalance from Arena, and you're like, it's still too powerful. And I'm like, yeah, but it kind of being a messed up card is within its spirit. And so you kind of still you have to have it still be a little messed up for it to retain the spirit of Oko.
Yeah. So how I always evaluate planeswalkers is this. Here's a Teferi Time Raveler.
No. Oh no.
The 1-2 punch. So when a planeswalker comes down and ticks up. So for Oko, for example, would be he comes down on turn 3 and he ticks up to 6 loyalty.
Right.
That would be the equivalent in my mind of a 3-mana 6/6 that makes a food token on ETB.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
That's dumb.
Yeah, that gives you additional value every turn. The real problem to me is A, the amount of loyalty he comes in with, and B, that the second ability is a plus and not a minus also. If he came down with 2 or 3 loyalty, and the +2 was a +1, and the +1 was a -1, then you have a balanced card that's still messed up.
I've never quite been able to understand why it's a +1.
Genuinely, that one is confusing to me. Because if it was a minus, then you're losing value, but it gets harder to take care of. Every mode on that card is the first.
So Jeremiah has turned one of his foods into an elk and attacked me with it, and he follows that up with a Moonbless Cleric, a card that I have recently fallen in love with.
Yeah, and this is sort of the problem. Is that second ability turns the food that you made into attackers without losing any loyalty. In fact, it's gaining additional loyalty on Oko. It makes it even.
I don't know what they were thinking. Moonblessed Cleric from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, the first D&D set.
Oh yeah,
is a 3-mana 3/2. When it comes into play, you can search for an enchantment and put it on top of your deck. So he searches up an Urza's Saga. Yes, that's an enchantment. Puts it on top of his deck. And then he used the Soul Guide Lantern to draw it, I think.
Oh, yeah. And then he just played it. Another messed up card.
His line was to bounce the Soul Guide Lantern with Teferi, draw the card with Teferi, and then recast the Soul Guide Lantern.
Oh my god. And you're over here with just lands.
Yep, I'm just making land drops in passing. If you see last turn, I did play a Mox Diamond and a Lotus Petal, and here I played a basic Swamp. He attacked for 9, so I'm down to 5.
Jeremiah effectively goldfishing.
Yeah, basically. I'm going to crack a marsh flats, go find a land. Looks like a basic plains.
In this economy?
Not much is going to be able to get me out of this.
It is a snow-covered plains, notably. Is there a reason
all
you
of the
chose
basics
snow
in my deck are snow-covered. I cracked the Lotus Petal for mana, tap my 6 lands. I do take 1 more damage from the City of Brass. I'm going to hard cast an Atraxa here. You see my fist pump there. I'm very excited that I got to do something this game before I died. So Atraxa is going to reel Kasali Pride Mage, Bitter Reunion, Faithful Saluting, Endurance, Trace of Abundance, Savannah, Seasoned Dungeoneer, Badlands, Titan of Industry, and Yorion Sky Nomad.
A lot of options there. What are you going to get, like 4 cards out of this?
I do. I believe this is a 4-card pile, yes.
Land, creature, enchantment, or
the good news is if for some reason he doesn't have removal or an answer to the Atraxa,
it does have lifelink.
He cannot really attack me because I will net gain 1 life, or sorry, net gain 4 life.
But he can elk it with. Okay.
Well, take 6, gain 7. Yeah, so I'll net gain 1 life. He could elk it with the Oko, I suppose, and that would be lethal. So, not much I can do here.
Yeah,
but like I said, I was very pleased that I finally got to do something in this game.
Fair casting and Atraxa, not where your deck wants to be. Like, it's good. Like if you had
it's turn 5.
Yeah,
just so you know,
if you had been doing other things.
I hard cast that Atraxa on turn 5. No, I think I missed a land drop, so it was turn 6.
But still, if you had been doing other things and then just like gone into it, I think that's totally reasonable. Like that's a solid game plan. But the issue was that you didn't do anything up until this point.
So he cycles an Astral Slide. That's how he gets rid of the Atraxa.
Oh my god. Friggin' Astral Slide.
I actually decided that Astral Slide seems really good in my deck, and I'm going to put 1 in there.
It's funny and good.
Any game that I get to put Atraxa into play, though, I already feel like I won.
Yeah. It's like if I'm dredging Golgari Grave Troll, like there's nothing you can do to me. I've already gotten there.
Comment down below.
Would you take Pod to 0? Do you think Pod to 0 is a reasonable thing?
You think Birthing Pod should be a 0-point card?
That's some engagement there.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.